Let's go to our next category, crushing attacks. What are we talking about here? Nothing more than very heavy objects that need to be swung not only with two hands, but they need to be lifted over the head. The most common variety is the ubiquitous chair. It's lifted up and it's thrown down and crushes you under the weight. It's very, very common, and people don't realize how dangerous it can be because of its weight. We need to look at this specifically because it's so easy to access. In urban settings, chairs are everywhere, and a lot of self-defense systems ignore how common these kinds of heavy objects, other kinds of furniture, things like that can be used. All right, let's look at some defenses. All right, let's look at our last and heaviest category of improvised weapons that happen in real-world weapon attacks. Heavy objects. Statistically, the most common version of this is a chair. And to compound that problem, the people who attack people like this are usually larger, stronger people to begin with. So you have a heavy object, like an indoor chair. They want to pick it up overhead and they want to crush it down on you. So you have to deal with both, oftentimes a larger person, but the weight of the chair. This is also one of the few times you're going to see a direct downward kind of swing straight down like this. All right, now the principle here, the old school one that has some interesting mechanics in it, is based on the principle that as he winds up, I want to block his elbows like this. The weight of the chair or whatever the heavy object is so heavy that that's helping to unbalance him backwards. So if I'm able to get in there early, when I drive off the floor like this and block at his elbow, push down, it's very difficult, push down hard. It's very hard for him to do this even without the weight because I'm blocking at the elbow, not at the arms. So the point here is I absolutely positively don't try to do this kind of thing. I'm going to get crushed under it. Now in the old days, our early defense was he would wind up, we would block, the weight of the chair would start forcing him backwards, and then boom, we'd throw a side kick into his middle and that would topple him over the chair. In the old days, every jiu-jitsu guy had at least a good side kick, even though he wasn't expected to be a stand-up fighter. Now, that has its place, it's good mechanics. Remember in our unarmed program, we talked about how much leverage there was by controlling here just behind the elbow. So the principle is the same. He only has his tricep muscles at this point, and you really do have good leverage. It's surprising how well you can control a guy. Now the only problem I have with this is we're training ourselves to go between the arms. As we talked about in real world attacks, you may be startled, you may not realize exactly.